South China Morning Post, 23 September 2022, Biden-Marcos talks on the South China Sea may prompt Beijing to seek closer ties with Manila. China has been intimidating and sinking Filipino fishing ships while illegally occupying a Philippine-owned island in the South China Sea. Before any talks can start, this must end. Once the Philippines succumb to China's enticing offers, the Chinese will likely relocate to the island. Talks between the leaders of the US and the Philippines about the South China Sea will probably be viewed as provocative by Beijing. On Thursday, US Vice President Joe Biden met with his Philippine counterpart Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in New York City. They were both attending the UN General Assembly. Since Marcos assumed office in June, this was the first time the two had spoken face-to-face. They discussed various topics, including the tensions in the contentious canal, renewable energy, and COVID-19. The White House reiterated Washington's ironclad commitment to the defense of the Philippines in a statement following the talks, saying that the leaders discussed the situation in the South China Sea and underscored their support for freedom of navigation and overflight and the peaceful resolution of disputes. All the countries in our region, and the Philippines in particular, are very appreciative of the role that the United States has played in keeping the peace in our region, added Marcos. When we are in a crisis, we look to the United States, Marcos remarked in an address on Monday at the New York Stock Exchange. Geopolitics expert and founder of the Oxford Political Review Brian Wang Yuishan said he did not anticipate Beijing to consider the talks provocative. It's not unusual, according to Wang, for freshly elected officials in the Philippines to initially change their posture and tone in favor of Washington. He continued by saying that historically, the Philippines has been closely tied to the US, its former colonial power, in terms of security and military. In addition, Wang noted that given its strategic reliance on the US, the Marcos government was trying to strike a balance in its relations with Beijing and Washington. Marcos was widely perceived as distinctly more sympathetic to China than his challenger, Leni Robredo, in the presidential election battle, and that provides him some leeway to maneuver about China, said Wang. But it also puts pressure on him to treat the development of relations with the US seriously. He claimed that Marcos' strategy involved a gradual and cautious hardening toward China over territorial and border conflicts, along with an expression of preference concerning resolving disputes within established frameworks, as opposed to bilateral or US-driven negotiation processes. As Beijing claims the majority of the resource-rich waterway as its own, disputes over the South China Sea have been a source of diplomatic tension between Manila and Beijing. China has rejected the 2016 International Tribunal decision that invalidated Beijing's claims. Wang warned that escalating hostilities in the Taiwan Strait would push Beijing to seek closer ties with Manila. If China wants to devote more resources to what it sees as national reunification with Taiwan, he said, re-establishing closer economic links and achieving some sort of influence over the Philippines' posture on the South China Sea is crucial. Beijing hasn't ruled out using force to annex Taiwan because it sees it as a part of its territory. The Philippines would be strategically significant in the event of a military war over Taiwan. By Jan Robert Go, Assistant Professor of Political Science at the University of the Philippines Diliman. This is because of their proximity to Taiwan. If the Philippines agree to host foreign militaries on its soil, Go stated, this makes the Philippines a possible support base for any military intervention. This Monday, Biden reiterated that American forces would defend Taiwan if Beijing attacked the island. Later, the White House clarified that the US's position on Taiwan had not altered. Go claimed that Marcos seemed to be taking the best from both sides and playing it cautiously. He claimed that while the meeting with Biden might not incite China, it might encourage Beijing to pursue tighter ties with Manila. The Philippines' more excellent links to the US would inevitably cause some degree of confidence to be shaken, even if only a little. China might even be more assertive when making counteroffers. Go claimed that because of the Philippines' geographic and economic position, China had bullied and attempted to enslave it into being a strategic partner in Southeast Asia.